It is 2008. You are standing in a high-stakes Wall Street boardroom, and the air is absolutely thick with tension, as one single echoing sound defines the ultimate power in this room. Click, click, click. That sound isn't a computer keyboard. It's the Blackberry, the ultimate status symbol of the global elite. Listen, if you didn't have one of these in your hand, you weren't just behind the times, you were completely irrelevant. It was the absolute weapon of choice for CEOs, presidents, and Wall Street power brokers. At their peak, they held a massive 50% market share. They were the undisputed kings of the digital world, looking down from the very top of the mountain. They truly believed their physical keyboard was an impenetrable fortress that no competitor could ever storm. Act 1. The push email addiction. They were dead wrong about being invincible. But to understand how Apple systematically destroyed this massive category in just 4 short years, we actually have to rewind to 1999 to a little-known Canadian company called Research in Motion. See, before them, email was strictly a desk job. You left the office, you left your entire world behind. But then they pulled off the impossible. Push email, real-time delivery straight to your hip, completely eliminating the need for a dial-up connection. This was a true productivity weapon. For the first time ever, your work followed you everywhere you went, and it created a million die-hard addicts by 2003. So how exactly did they hook those users so deeply? Well, they designed a real mechanical QWERT keyboard with absolutely perfect tactile feedback. It let your thumbs fly at an incredible 60 words per minute without even looking at the screen. You felt every single letter. And then they trapped you in their ecosystem. They launched BBM, an encrypted, totally private social network strictly for the powerful. It actually introduced the world to blue-check anxiety way before modern social media. You had the D for delivered and the R for read. It proved they didn't just build a toy, they built a philosophy of extreme, unbreakable focus. But this very same philosophy of focus was about to become a lethal trap. Act 2, the toy that changed everything. The calendar flips to January 2007. Steve Jobs enters the arena bathed in blue light. And just across the border, BlackBerry's dual CEOs, Jim Bowsley and Mike Lazaretti's, watched the presentation of the very first iPhone and literally laughed out loud. In a staggering, fatal display of arrogance, they looked at Apple's creation and boldly declared, "It's a toy. Nobody wants a touchscreen." They completely dismissed it. They called the iPhone's battery life a total joke, entirely missing the massive consumer revolution that was unfolding right in front of their eyes. That moment perfectly captures the philosophical clash of the century. BlackBerry rigidly defined a smartphone as a serious communication tool for getting work done. But Apple? They defined it as a pocket computer. While BlackBerry was busy optimizing the physical click for executives, Apple launched the App Store. They transformed the phone into a center for navigation, video games, and endless entertainment. And that single philosophical difference triggered an absolute catastrophe. Act 3, the downward spiral. Suddenly, BlackBerry's intense, specialized focus became its very own prison. As millions of consumers flocked to the vibrant, entertaining world of the iPhone, pure panic set in at BlackBerry headquarters, triggering a desperate and devastating downward spiral. First, a panicked reaction in 2008 with the BlackBerry Storm, a touchscreen device that literally felt like typing on a broken window. It was horribly buggy and slow. Then, the sheer absurdity of 2011. The undisputed email king released the Playbook tablet, a device that launched without a native email app. Think about how insane that is. And by the time they finally released a modern operating system with BB10 in 2013, it was years too late. Thanks to this deer-in-the-headlights indecision paralyzed by their dual CEO structure, we witness one of the fastest, most brutal corporate collapses in human history. Their market share plummeted from a dominant 43% to a humiliating 1%. The empire was officially dead. Or so everyone thought. Act 4, the 2026 resurrection. By 2013, the corporate empire was in absolute ruins, and the entire world had moved on to typing on glass. But fast forward to today, and a surprising tactile revolution is actually rising from the ashes with specialized devices like the Unihertz Titan. Why is this happening? Because serious professionals are suddenly rediscovering a really painful scientific truth. Typing on a flat piece of glass imposes a massive glass screen tax. It demands a 28% higher cognitive load just to figure out where your thumbs are. It makes us 14% slower. It makes us 32% less accurate. We traded ultimate efficiency for a prettier screen. And this isn't just theory. This is exactly why we are seeing physical keyboards become the absolute gold standard again in incredibly demanding environments. For example, in places like Northeast India, complex, fast-paced, multilingual government operations are demanding the tactile feedback that only physical keys can provide. The data simply does not lie. The ultimate tragedy of Blackberry is that they were actually scientifically right about the keyboard all along, but they fatally confused being right with being relevant. They insisted on building a tool designed purely for focus, completely ignoring that they were now operating in a brand new world that absolutely craved distraction. They may be gone from your pocket, but their philosophy still heavily haunts our daily lives. So the next time you are frustrated, tapping away blindly on a cold glass slab, frantically fighting with your autocorrect just to send a simple message, just stop. Ask yourself, can you still hear the click? Because if you close your eyes and imagine